Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Happy
Good.
Friday.
Yes, happy Friday.
All right, well, we'll go ahead and get started. We're supposed to get some rain today and tomorrow, so we're hoping.
Yay.
I know, I hope. It's supposed to come, I think, later on today, so keep our fingers crossed.
Yes.
So, all right, well, we're going to go ahead and start with some of the most common English verbs. All right, here we go. Ready? Develop, give, limit, promise, die, go, link, protect, disappear, grow, listen, prove, discover, handle, live, provide, discuss, happen, look, publish. It should be live because it's a verb. Divide, hate, lose, pull, do, have, love, push, draw, head, make, put, dress, hear, manage, raise, drink, help, mark, reach, drive, hide, matter, read, drop, hit, may, realize, eat, hold, mean, receive, enable, hope, measure, recognize, encourage, hurt, meet, record, enjoy, identify, mention, reduce, examine, imagine, might, refer, exist, improve, mind, reflect, expect, include, miss, refuse, experience, increase, move, regard, explain, indicate, must, relate, express, influence, need, release, extend, inform, notice, remain, base, intend, obtain, remember, fail, introduce, occur, remove, fall, invite, offer, repeat, fasten, involve, open, replace, feed, join, order, reply, feel, jump, ought, report, fight, keep, own, represent, fill, kick, pass, require, find, kill, pay, rest, finish, knock, perform, result, fit, know, pick, return, fly, last, place, reveal, told, last, let me say that again, fold, laugh, plan, ring, follow, lay, play, rise, force, lead, point, roll, forget, learn, prefer, run, forgive, leave, prepare, save, form, lend, present, say, found, let, press, see, gain, lie, prevent, seem, get, like, produce, sell. That should be present because of the verb. All right, let's do some common phrases. Here we go. Where he believed, where he believes, where I believe, where I believed, where you believe, where you believed, whether he believed, whether he believes, whether I believe, whether I believed, whether or not he believes, whether or not he believed, whether or not I believe, whether or not I believed, whether or not you believe, whether or not you believed, whether you believe, whether you believed, which he believed, which he believes, which I believe, which I believed, which you believe, which you believed, who believe, who believed, who believes, will believe, would have believed, you believe, you believed, you believe so, you have believed, beyond a reasonable doubt, beyond all reasonable doubt, billion dollars, $100, $100, million dollars, $1,000, trillion dollars. Call your attention, can be, can believe, can feel. All right. Now let's do some internet briefs. Again, let me just go over these few that we have. www.iswaut, W-A-U-T.com is D-A-U-M, dom.net, D-W-E-T, .gov, D-W-O-F, .org, D-W-O-R-G, @ is A-T with the flag, / is F-A-S-H, Dot is just DOT with the flag. Okay. All right, here we go. www.railroad.org, www.yandex.ru, www.mazda.com, www.studentloans.com, www.chevrolet.com, www.t.co.net, www.honda.com, www.dmv.gov.org, www.360.cn.com, www.sohu.com, www.match.com, www.pinterest.com, www.mail.ru.com, www.onclickads.net, www.netflix.com, www.kbhomes.com, www.eharmony.com, www.christianmingle.com, www.plentyoffish.com, www.wordpress.com, www.ford.net. All right. Now I've got some license plate numbers. Okay, here we go. Tennessee 4CJR814. California VIFTV10. Nevada LF489W. Arizona 9JSD230. Washington PK46T. Colorado 98JNB5. Utah 7WS54. New York 3DSX5. Oregon QRT563. Indiana B5N9G. Virginia P9H8N8. Illinois 7KC2L70. Arkansas AP6A740. Montana F3B8SE5. Georgia A9R7V73. Alaska 9SD383B. Kansas W5HC83. Tennessee NV7N82. All right. Now I've got some sentences here that focus on different numbers. Okay, here we go. My check register listed check number 305 for $28.40 written on 11/3/14, check number 306 for $170.43 written on 11/25/14, check number 307 for $82 written on 12/7/14, check number 308 for $25 written on 12/24/14, and check number 309 for $63.29 written on 1/1/15, totaling $372.16 for 5 checks within a 60-day period. Okay, I've got one more of these. A little bit different, but kind of the same concept. Here we go. On 2/14/15, the weather forecaster reported that at elevations above 3,500 feet, the high temperature would be 23 degrees and the low would be 17 degrees with a 47-mile-per-hour wind and a 60% chance of snow. Last year, the high was 12 degrees and 2 feet 7 inches of snow fell. On 2/14/15, the weather forecaster reported that at elevations above 3,500 feet, the high temperature would be 23 degrees and the low would be 17 degrees with a 47-mile-per-hour wind and a 60% chance of snow. Last year, the high was 12 degrees and 2 feet 7 inches of snow fell there. For some reason, oh, okay, it's a little bit different. I thought it might be the same wording, but it's not. On 2/14/15, the weather forecaster reported that at elevations above 35 feet, the high temperature would be 23 degrees and the low would be 17 degrees with a 47-mile-per-hour wind and a 60% chance of snow. Last year, the high was 12 degrees and 2 feet 7 inches of snow fell before 7:30. On 2/14/15, the weather forecaster reported that at elevations above 3,500 feet, the high temperature would be 23 degrees and the low would be 17 degrees with a 47-mile-per-hour wind and a 60% chance of snow. Last year, the high was 12 degrees and 2 feet 7 inches of snow fell before 7:30 p.m. So it's just kind of adding a little bit to each take. So hopefully it got easier. Okay, let's do one more of these. I like them. Here we go. And again, this is going to do this in 2 different takes. Add a little bit at the second time around. Here we go. To get to Grandma's house, take Highway 32, go 17 miles to Highway 49, follow that 26 miles to exit 173, and turn left, go 8 miles. Watch until you see 5 mobile homes under 10 maple trees. Pass them and turn right at the 3rd stop. Okay, here we go. To get to Grandma's house, take Highway 32, go 17 miles to Highway 49. Follow that 26 miles to exit 173 and turn left. Go 8 miles. Watch until you see 5 mobile homes under 10 maple trees. Pass them and turn right at the 3rd stop sign. It's just adding a word each time. All right. We're almost done with these, so we're going to do our last page of this. Okay, I'm going to give you the briefs and then I'll give you the sentences, but if there's any brief you want to know, just let me know, okay? Otherwise, just write it out. So we've got section, signature, significance, significant, situate, sustain, testify, testimony, thank you, understand, vehicle, verdict, yes ma'am, yes sir, willing, woman, women, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, court reporter, reasonable, satisfactory, sometime, or not, original, police, police car, police department, police station, policeman, policeman, refresh, that is correct, that is right, that's correct, that's right, within, witness, university. Is that right? Is that correct? All right, so here are your sentences. I like the brass selection. That's not her signature. What is the significance of your story? I like the brass section. He is my significant other. I am trying to situate myself. I will sustain my opinion. He will not testify. Bill's testimony is false. Thank you, Your Honor. I took it. Do you understand the law? I need a new vehicle. What is the verdict? Yes, ma'am. We sell those. Yes, sir, we have boats. I am always willing to help. I am a strong woman. We are all strong women. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, welcome. I can't wait to be a court reporter. You are not reasonable. Your progress is satisfactory. We should go dancing sometime. Believe it or not, I passed. Sex is the original sin. I hear the police. I sat in back of the police car. Tom works for the police department. They took me to the police station. He wants to be a policeman. The policemen marched in time. Could you refresh my memory? My name is Jen. That is correct. He is very tall. That is right. That's correct. I was robbed. That's right. He's cute. She was sad she was sad from within. Who is your next witness? I went to the university over there. You were in Idaho, is that right? He told her no. Is that correct? All right. Now I picked out 2 selections today for literary. So I'll read those at 200 just to kind of give you a push. All right, so the first one is going to it's just practice dictation, argument of counsel. I'm going to read this at, well, let me do the actual literary first, the actual story, okay? I think that'll be better. And then we'll go on to jury, even though it's not really considered jury charge, it's argument of counsel, so it's kind of like that, okay? So this first one is U.S. Postal Service, okay? I'm going to read this at 200. Okay, here we go. Mr. Speaker, 3 months ago, I introduced H.R. 13, a bill designed to provide for congressional review of our postal services. In the recent years, the U.S. Postal Service has proposed the elimination of the 6-day mail delivery plan. The Postal Service has recently dropped this ill-advised idea following a series of protests from the postal employees, the public, and the Congress. The Postal Service established a policy with the exception of certain residences. No new residential developments would have the privilege of receiving door-to-door or box-to-box mail service. Most recently, the Postal Service has announced the plans to continue the 9-digit zip code system, despite the broad opposition of the public to the proposal. These and the other programs and policies of the U.S. Postal Service are indicative of the sad state of the objectives of the Postal Reform Act of 1990. The Postal Reform Act has had a negative effect and has been unable to serve the public efficiently and effectively. The policy of the U.S. Postal Service is too important to be removed from the responsibilities of Congress. The American people rely on Congress to consider and to resolve the problems of the U.S. Postal Service. My bill, H.R. 19, addresses these problems. However, with the U.S. Postal Service that is proposing a change to the postal services that would have a national impact, the Postal Service must submit that proposed change to the Congress. Congress would then authorize the appropriate committees to review the changes and approve, reject, or suggest revisions. If within 90 days the committee makes their recommendation, the U.S. Postal Service would have another 90 days to implement any other changes. Okay, so I have another one for you. I'm going to read this again at 200. All right, here we go. This is on condominium conversion. Here we go. Mr. Speaker, the Business, Commerce, and Monetary Affairs Committee, of which I am a member of long standing, has been involved in an investigation into the rapid increase across the United States in the number of conversions of rental units to condominium units and cooperative housing ownership. Our concern is with the impact of governmental programs, policies, and activities on these conversions. This trend toward rental conversions has been dramatic. The Department of Housing and Urban Development predicts that this trend will continue to accelerate. These conversions raise issues of vital public policy, which include the following: the rights of tenants, the price of housing, the availability of rental housing units, the allocation of diminishing mortgage money, and the dubious role of the government. Research and investigation have revealed that conversions contribute significantly to increased housing cost and housing inflation, which is inflated by speculator purchases of units. Frequently, conversions result in displacement of the poor, the handicapped, the indigent, and the elderly. Condominium conversions and cooperative housing are a problem when few other rental units are available. This problem is spotlighted in major cities where rentals are scarce, such as Boston, New York, Houston, Dallas, and San Francisco. The hard facts are that the byproduct of the conversion phenomenon is a reduction in the rental units. Large and small buildings are falling prey to conversion projects that displace thousands of people. In many areas, there are no restrictions on the number of condominium conversions. There are no safe grounds against landlords who see an opportunity to reap a large reward in the conversion scheme. The legislation that I am proposing will repeal and substantially revise the Condominium Conversion Act of last year and will provide strong protection for tenants of rental units. All right. Now we'll go ahead and do this one. All right, argument of counsel. Here we go. And again, I'll read this one. I'll read this. I'll start it at 200 and I'll work my way to 225 toward the end. Okay. All right, here we go. If the court please, this suit was brought pursuant to an audit of the Auditor of Public Accounts of the accounts of the Board of Supervisors of Brown County, wherein the auditors charged that the unlawful and illegal payments in the amount of $547,805.37 were made by the members of the Board of Supervisors of the Brown County. The bill of complaint charges that the actions of the defendants constitute willful neglect and total disregard for the duties of the officer of supervisor and a breach of the obligations and trust imposed upon each supervisor, respectively, as public officials, for which breach of the defendants and their bonding companies are liable. The bill of complaint charges that defendants fail to comply with the statutory requirements in making the expenditures for which recovery is sought, and that the minutes of the board do not show the necessary conditions to have existed for the making of valid contracts for the purchases for which recovery is sought, and that certain of the accounts were false and fraudulent, and for materials not rendered or delivered. The answer of the defendants was a general denial of such charges. The defendants appear to rely on the general rule of law announced in the Thompson case and succeeding cases to the effect that a board of supervisors or its individual members are not personally liable for expenditures where the object is within the jurisdiction, that there has been an error of judgment or mistake in the exercise of legal power, and that the defendants relied on the advice of counsel. There are involved, in this case, 75 invoices with a total of more than 175 items. The defendants contend that the board advertised bids on an annual basis and received one bid from Jones Construction Company, and that all items shown on the invoices were contracted at or below the bid price. However, the proof shows that there was no bid of any type on 45 of the items appearing on such invoices, totaling more than $160,000. Mr. Jensen, the former attorney for the board, when he testified, stated that if he had been asked, can the defendants do it under the general bids? Can they execute contracts such as were shown in the invoices under the general bids? He would have advised them that they could not, which is in contrast with the testimony of the defendants, that they had acted on the advice of legal counsel. Mr. Walter White, one of the defendants, testified that the board avoided advising for bids wherever possible. Mr. Abel also testified that they tried to restrict the bidding as much as possible. The cases and citations of the defendants are intended to, and they do, cover cases of error or mistake. The proof in this case shows a continuous and deliberate disregard of the statutes. The citations relied upon by the defendants do not afford protection in this case. It is acknowledged that the Thompson case and all of its succeeding cases say that when the defendants in past cases have not followed the statutory procedure because of error or mistake, then they were not personally liable. But if it was not an error or mistake, then personal liability was incurred. And the defendants here have admitted that as individual members of the Board of Supervisors, they went out on the side of the road with Thomas Parker and negotiated orally a contract between the two of them in violation of some 12 statutes, requiring the board to act as a board and to advertise for bids for work of this nature, to declare on the minutes of the board that such work was necessary, and to let the bids to the lowest bidder after he has posted a bond to ensure that the county received the work that was done for the price that was bid. The first of those sections of the statute that were violated was Section 578, which is the statute calling for annual bids on materials, equipment, and supplies, and also for any contracts that are to be let during that 12 months period, calling for the plans and specifications to be filed with the clerk and for a bond for the work to be done. Section 595 of the code describes the method of construction and maintenance, and this is the code section that all of the invoices were stamped as being done under the authority of. The testimony and the evidence in this case show that 595 was not followed in any way in its form, because in no instance was there any entry of the board minutes showing that such a job was necessary. There was never a bid taken on these jobs, and the defendants both testified that there was no effort made to take the bid. There were no plans and specifications, and there was no declaration of necessity, which goes to the heart of the very statute. In Section 217, it sets out again how contracts for work are made, which simply states in effect that for anything over $100, it must be advertised. The low bid must be accepted, the plans and specifications must be on file, and a bond filed to cover the work. Now in Section 217, it also deals with the contracts for the truck hire and refers to the hiring of trucks for public work over the sum of $250. The requirements for the hiring of those trucks are specifically set out in the statute. At the end of that statute, it says very plainly, any board of supervisors failing to comply with the terms of the statute shall be liable on the bond of each member of the board, voting to let said contract to the full amount of said contract, apportioned among the members voting therefor. Even if the defendants were to rely on a conclusion as based on the Thompson case, this statute was passed at a date since any of the late cases were decided. This is a very important item and also has never been considered insofar as we have been able to determine by the Supreme Court in any of its decisions, and the 75 invoices are replete with truck hire. And of course, the defendants have admitted that this procedure and this statute were not followed. Your Honor, Section 282 says contracts shall not be made in vacation. All right, so I started at 200 and I worked my way to 225. Probably half of that was 225. Okay. So hopefully that helps, so that when you do your RPR, hopefully it'll seem, a little bit slower since it'll be at 180. So, all right, so let's do some jury charge. This is, the subject here is mental incompetency to contract. Okay, I'll read this. You want me to read it 200 or 225? Gives you a chance to catch up because it takes so long to say, yeah, that is so true. And it's like a mouthful to say, www, you're like one of those auctioneers. 225, okay. All right, here we go. Members of the jury, there is a second defense here that Joseph Briggs was incompetent and that he was easily influenced. There are a great many men who are easily influenced and a great many men that nobody can influence, but they are all capable of doing business unless they are so incompetent that they do not understand the nature of the transaction. Men who are easily influenced and have money generally lose it, and the public and those who deal with them are not bound to be their guardians if they deal in good faith. If Mr. Foster paid this money in good faith to Mr. Briggs, he is entitled to recover it unless Mr. Briggs was so incompetent that he did not understand the nature of the transaction and he didn't know anything about what he was doing. If he had a reasonable acquaintance with the nature of borrowing money and giving a note for it, he could handle his own business and be bound by it until he was declared incompetent by some proper court and put under guardianship. Now, was he in such mental condition at the time that he gave this note as not to be capable of understanding that the nature of the transaction, or of what the nature of the transaction was? It does not make any difference if he was afterwards declared incompetent. The examination that was mentioned here was that after the date of the transaction and would not affect any date before that time. The fact that a man is declared incompetent today by a court does not show that he was incompetent yesterday or at any time previous. It is for you to say here now as a jury at any time or on the evidence presented to you whether Joseph Briggs was, at the time he accepted the money from Mr. Foster, in such a disturbed mental condition that he didn't understand the nature of the transaction. All right. Go ahead and get started with some Q&A. How are we doing on time? 30. Good. Okay, so this is one of the child abuse cases. Looks like, let's see who's questioning here. Plaintiff is questioning. Okay. I'll start at 180, but then I'll kick it right into 200. And then we'll go into 225. Okay, here we go. Do you have a good relationship with the foster parents? Did you say that? Is that right? Yes, I did, and that's what hurts. We're very close. Have you ever observed any type of bias that you feel that the foster parents have toward the mother? Yes. And what would that be? They just really dislike her. And how could you, what makes you state that? What specific events that you see or have seen from her or witnessed that you make that you come to that conclusion? Well, they just really dislike her. They never really talk bad about her, to me, but I can tell they just don't really like her. I don't know why, I don't know why they don't like her, because I'll say a few things, but I mostly just listen. And I don't say too much, but I can really tell that, they don't care for her. I don't know what it is, I have no further questions. Counsel, thank you. You state that before the kids said anything about the hitting, you heard it from the foster parents? Yes, I did. Which foster parent? Mayla. The grandkids call her Mayla, but her name is Diane. And where were you when Diane told you this? On the phone. So it wasn't, you didn't actually see her face to face? No, I didn't. If you could just let me finish the question, because the reporter won't be able to take down your answer. Now, you said you testified that right away you never believed it when you were told this by Diane. Is that right? No, I never believed it. And why is that? It just don't make no sense for somebody to have their kids for that short length of time and knowing that they have to bring them back to a foster parent and and knowing that that you jeopardizing your kids and you bringing them back to the foster parents, you going to abuse your kids? No. Did you have any reason to believe at that time that Diane would lie to you at that time? Yes. No. And what, if anything, did you say to Diane after she told you this? Like I said, I just listened. I don't know what to say. It was a shock. And how much time later was it, if you can recall, in weeks or days, when you first heard the kids say it? Okay, when I came to court and they gave me custody of the kids to keep the kids overnight, like I said, the first time I kept them, they didn't say. It was the second time is when I heard this. Okay, but what I'm trying to find out is between the time you talked to Diane on the phone And then the time the kids stayed over, the second time, do you remember what was the time period in between? You mean like days and weeks and stuff? Yes. It was like I kept the kids the first time I went to court. The next 2 weeks, I think I had the kids. It was like 4 weeks. I'll say 4 weeks in between there. And Lori was the first one to say anything, right? Yes. And whether Lori said this to you, you had already in your mind that you didn't believe it, right? Right. And how many times did you ask her, who told you to say this? Well, I asked her one time for myself. And then when I called a few of my friends, I said, listen at this here. And she would say it over and over and over. And why did you ask her who told you this versus asking her some other type of question? Like I said, I didn't believe it. So you didn't bother to look into it further yourself, such as asking her, when did this happen, or how did this happen, or why? That is right. No, I didn't. I didn't even talk to her about it. And do you know, is Lori pretty? How old was Lori at the time when she told you this? She's 3 now. That's when it happened. And how are her communication skills? Good, real good. Do you know whether she understood your question? Who told you this? Yes, she did. Do you know whether there was any possibility that she would confuse it with who did this or what she said to you? No. You don't think she would have done that? No. And after Diane told you this on the phone, did you inform the social worker of your belief that Diane was lying to you? No, because after I didn't have the kids and I talked to Michelle a few times, and it was just like I was nobody no more. It was just like I didn't have nothing to do with the kids no more. Okay, once you started you were visiting the kids pretty regularly, right? Uh-huh. And once you had been having overnight visits, did you ever bring it to the social worker's attention? No, I didn't. Did you ever tell anybody else about your suspicions? Just a few of my friends on the phone. You stated when you first heard this from Diane, you could tell right away it was a lie. How could you tell? Like I said, I just didn't believe Diane. Has she lied to you before about anything? No. Can I say something? No, not right now. Just wait for the question. Okay. Do you dislike Diane? Just a moment. Your answers must be direct responses to the questions, okay? Okay. Did you have any reason to dislike Diane? No. Were you upset that the kids were with somebody else other than yourself? No. And you want the kids to live with you now, correct? Yes. And there was a time when you did have temporary custody of the children, right? Yes. And at the time that you asked for them to be removed, isn't it true that you were having some problems with the mother? Yes. Did you tell the social worker that you felt you were being harassed by the mother? Yes, I did. And what is it that the mother was doing that you felt was harassment? Objection beyond the scope of direct and relevance, Your Honor. Any response, counsel? I'm just trying to elicit bias at this time, Your Honor. Well, the objection is overruled. Do you want me to repeat the question? Yes, please. Go ahead, counsel. What was the mother doing or saying to you that you felt was harassment? Well, at the time, we was having problems with her calling the kids at a certain time. And at that time, I had just really gotten the kids and was trying to adjust to the kids. And I also had a brother that had passed. And I was trying to explain to her that my brother had passed to call back, at a certain time. And sometimes she would call. The kids would be sleeping. She would kind of get upset, maybe think I was lying or something like that. And then that didn't bother me until the man called my house. What man called your house? I don't know who he was. A man called and asked for Lori, and I got upset. I told her that she would have done better asking for the kid herself instead of putting a man up to ask for a kid. That wasn't right, And did she do that on more than one occasion? No, just the one. And she was also rude or disrespectful to you? Just the one time. Did she ever mouth off to you? Just once. Did you think that she had a temper problem or problem controlling her temper? No, not really. Now, when you asked the social worker to remove the kids, you called her in tears. Is that right? Yes, I was crying. Was it just due to the one incident? No, it was things it had built up. The phone calls, and the kids would tell me, later, falling down and stuff like that. It would irritate me, a little bit. So there was more than one incident. Is that right? Yes, it was. And isn't it true that there was more than one incident of the mother being rude to you? She might have, yes, but it wasn't that often. It was most of the time we could talk, and I was under a lot of pressure. Like I said, my brother had just passed and everything. And isn't it true that she had lost her temper with you at times? Yes. And that happened more than once, right? Yes. I have no further questions. Counsel, now you testified that you could tell that the foster parents didn't like the mom. Was there anything specific that led you to that belief? No, like I said, I could just tell. They was always Lisa this, and Lisa couldn't do nothing right. Everything that Lisa did was wrong. Okay, now you previously testified that they never talked bad about her, but you could just tell. I could just tell. Are you now remembering certain things that they said, or just a feeling that you have? No, it's just a feeling that I have, Did they ever specifically say that Mrs. Crail did this wrong thing, or Mrs. Crail can't do that right? Did they make any kind of statements like that? Well, the bringing the kids back dirty and stuff like that, is that what you are asking me? I can't make up the answer for you. Well, okay, as far as just talking her down, no. Is that what you're saying? Things bad about her? No. Okay, and have you ever had any problems with the foster parents since you've been having them on overnights? Never. Have they ever been uncooperative with you? No. She had done something one time that I really didn't like. Okay, what was that? Well, she came to my house, and I had the kids, and I was getting ready to feed the kids their dinner, and I was feeding them. Tammy was sitting in the back of me by the phone, and Mila, which is Diane, was standing up on the side of me last I saw. So I was fixing the kids' plates, getting ready to feed them. So by that time, I put the plates on the table, and I looked around, and I didn't see Diane no more. And I asked Tammy, I said, where did Diane go? Just like that. So I put the plate down, and she had opened my door was locked. She had unlocked my door and took Mr. outside. And I went out there, and I asked her, because this is during the time that I think they came out, and to come out and look at your house to see how your house is. So at the time, I followed her out there, and I asked her, I said, what's going on now? And she had Mr. with her by the hand. And I said, what's the matter? I said, did I do something wrong? Are you checking the yard? Is the grass too high? She never did answer me. She never would answer me. So then she came in the house. It upset me. You don't come into somebody's house and just go out their back door and take over their house. So I went on and fed the kids. And I asked, I said, you haven't answered me yet. I said, why did you go out of my back door like that? So she walked to the front, and she asked me how long my son is going to be in jail, like that. And I said, well, he got 3.5 years. And she said, oh, no, he'll be out before then, I said, no, I know how long he has, like that. So she never did ask me. She never did answer my question. So all that night I couldn't rest. And they told me that I probably would get the kids. They had been to Walmart. I told them when I get the kids, I was going to get them a swing. So I thought when she went out in the backyard, they was going to help me buy a swing or something. They never did answer me. So the next date, I called Tammy, and I asked Tammy, I said, Tammy, this is bothering me. I said, why did she go out of my back door like that without asking me? Nobody never did ask the question without answering me. It took the trust away, Okay, so you were upset that they went into the backyard without asking you. Yes. Anything else about the incident? Mr. walked in my house and went, Grandma, backyard. I didn't trust him no more. Did you know if he just wanted to go in the backyard and play? No. How do you know that? No, not the way it was done. Mr. didn't open his mouth. It was done quietly by my hand. She took him by the hand and took him to the backyard. I said, do you think Lisa is here? Do you think I've done something to him? I don't know if I asked that on the phone, but I do remember asking that. And I think that was over the phone. She asked me why we would think Lisa was there. I said, well, you can't answer my question. Answer me. Why did you go in my backyard? I still haven't got that answer. Mrs. Smith, would it be correct to say that when you have company in your house that you expect everyone to stay in the house? And if they're going to go outside, they would ask your permission or inform you first that I'd like to go outside for a few minutes. Do you mind? Yes, well, you know, not all of my company, but it's the way it was done. It was done sneaky like. No sooner than my back was turned, fixing the kid's plate, she was gone out the back door. The door was locked. Okay, thank you. Yes, so it seemed sneaky to you. Is that correct? Yes, it did. All right, we'll stop there. Boy, that lady likes to ramble. All right, how are we doing on time? Good. So I got up to 225, so I'm going to just continue at 225. It's a little bit more dense, but that's okay. All right. Defense is questioning here. Okay, would you show us with your pointer? I'll have you circle that entire area. Okay, the barrier tape when I arrived, I'm going to say was in this general area where I marked it earlier with the red marker. However, after my arrival there, I expanded that crime scene probably from this point on. If you can follow the marker down to Hollerin Springs Road to an area that we walked in and maybe, I don't know, 100 feet back beyond the crime scene. So we actually took it from here, this lighted area where the sand is. This basically was our entire crime scene. Okay, you have previously drawn a black line along one portion of the photograph 26 and black along the line opposite side that appears to be a wash area. Is that correct? Is that the area where you're saying it encompasses the crime scene? Yes, it does. Would you take a black pencil then and complete that circle so that we know what you've designated as the crime scene area? Yes. For the record, the witness has drawn an oblong circle around the portion of the area in the lower one half of the photograph. Could you write the word crime scene and draw an arrow pointing to the black line for us? Yes. Now you've previously drawn a circle around another area up here, I believe is where the Nissan was located. Is that correct? Yes, that is correct. Did you designate that to be part of the crime scene too? No. And why did you not designate that as part of the crime scene? Well, it just didn't exist at the time, you know, when we got there. I remember when we got out there that the vehicle that was located in this area here, soon after we got out there, after we had the registered owner of the vehicle that was out of Arizona, there was no blood there. There was nothing there to suggest to us that this vehicle in this area had anything to do with the bodies there. So the vehicle had been tagged earlier, I believe. It was on August 12th by the Highway Patrol. I'm sorry. You've indicated to us you had the registered owner of the vehicle. Does that mean that you had a person before you who was the registered owner of that vehicle? I'm sorry, can you say that again? Sure, your statement was you had the registered owner of the vehicle. What do you mean by that? Well, by that, I mean by that, the vehicle plate was put on a computer. I don't remember if I did it. I don't think I did, through the dispatch. And we received the information that it was registered to a certain person out in Arizona. In this particular case, I think it was Randy Horrocks, I believe it was. And you determined as part of your investigation how long the Nissan had been located in that scene? No, we knew it had been there from the 12th back when the Highway Patrol had tagged the vehicle there up until the 15th. But prior to that, how long the vehicle had been there, I don't know. Did the registered owner of the vehicle indicate to you when he had parked the vehicle there? I don't remember making any other contact with the registered owner of the vehicle. During the entire portion of your investigation, did you ever talk to the registered owner of the vehicle? No. Did you ever direct that he be interviewed? No. During the course of your investigation, did you search the contents of the vehicle? The vehicle. I know I myself made a visual observation of the inside around the vehicle, around the area in the dirt area. Beyond that, I did not do anything else. Okay, so there was nothing in the way of an itemized search of the interior of the vehicle or the contents of the vehicle or anything like that? No, I don't think there was. At any time during the course of your investigation, did you direct anyone to do so? No. You may sit down. Okay, thank you. Did you direct anybody to, I'm going to use the technical phrase, dust the vehicle for fingerprints? No. You had a tag on the car placed there by the California Highway Patrol that you've indicated was dated August the 12th, I believe you said. Is that correct? Yes. From August the 12th until August the 17th of 2012. Did you have any kind of record of anyone calling in to the sheriff's department or any law enforcement agency and indicate that there was some kind of an odor or some kind of a strange object in that vicinity, the vicinity of the car, the crime scene? Okay, between August 12th and August the 17th when you were assigned. Yes, there was the reporting parties in the case. That was on August 17th. Yes, prior to August 17th, between, let's say, August the 16th and August the 12th, did you receive any kind of indication that someone had called in and made any kind of a report of a strange odor or anything of that nature in the general area of the crime scene? No, not that I am aware of, no. When you designate an area to be the officer who tagged that vehicle, the chief investigating officer, did you contact him? No. Did you direct a report be prepared by him concerning his observations or anything of that nature of the vehicle located in the vicinity by the officer? No. Do you know if he prepared a report? If who prepared? If the officer ever prepared any kind of a report? No. When you designate an area as the crime scene, as you have done for us here, and as you did on August 17 of 2012, that means that the area is the area that you might expect to find some kind of evidence in that location. Is that why you designate it as a crime scene? Yes. And I expect then, since that was the area that you designated as the crime scene, that you've designated for us here on Exhibit 26, you directed that a search of that entire area be conducted as part of your investigation. Is that correct? Yes. And that was done, right? Yes. So that we are clear and I'm not misleading you, I'm talking about the area commencing where you've drawn your line. That would be west of Holleran Springs Road, furthest west. Yes. Up to Holleran Springs Road itself. Did you conduct a search between those lines as you've drawn them on the photograph of the entire area? Yes, I did. You personally? I personally. That was done when? Between the hours of 1:30 or 2 in the morning up until, I'm not sure what time we left there, 10, 11 the next morning. You say between the hours of 1:30 in the morning to 10, 11 the next morning. Did you walk the entire area when it was dark? No. You waited until daylight? Yes. And then you walked that area during the daylight? Yes, I did. And I assume there were others besides yourself assisting you in the walking of the area. Is that correct? Randy Beasley and Mike Madrill and Officer Gonzalez. How long have you been assigned to homicide? For 5 years. This is not the first homicide that you've worked in your career, is it? No, it is not. You've received training and things of that nature as to how to conduct a crime scene investigation and how to preserve a crime scene. Is that correct? Yes. And you adhere to all of those procedures in this case in terms of the crime scene search. Is that correct? Well, you necessarily don't have procedures because you can't put procedures on the crime scene because the crime scene is different every time you go do one. So you may have to be flexible on how to approach a scene. And there are several variables that you may have to change. Well, you did everything you could to avoid disturbing that area that you've designated as the crime scene. Is that correct? Yes. Now you've described how you found what you believe to be blood on a rock and the bullet and a shell casing, spent shell casing. What else did you find in that area that you have designated as the crime scene besides the bodies? Well, the blood on the rocks, there's 2 rocks. Yes, the lead bullet, okay, and some drag marks in the area of the rocks going in the direction of the bodies. Okay, the expended cartridge was not even in the crime scene. Okay, it wasn't in the area that's designated as the crime scene. That's correct. Anything else? No. Let's start with the lead bullet. Did you direct that to be examined for possible body tissue or blood? No. Has it, to your knowledge, ever been done? No. Let's start with the stage that you saw the blood on the rock and in the sand. Did you direct that to be examined by the crime scene lab to determine if, in fact, those stains have been blood? No, we don't. We don't direct people to do that. We do it at a certain point, but it doesn't happen automatically, no. So when you come into the courtroom and testify that the stains that you observed on the 2 rocks and in the sand are blood, you're testifying based upon your experience having observed what you believe to be blood stains on the prior occasions. Is that correct? Yes, but you have no scientific data to confirm that is, in fact, blood, do you? No. In fact, you have nothing to even indicate if it is, in fact, blood, that it is human blood as opposed to animal blood, do you? No, I don't. And you have nothing to indicate that the stain that you found on the 2 rocks and in the sand, if it was, in fact, blood, is even from the 2 bodies that you found in that general area, do you? I think you have a good indication. Scientific evidence? Scientific, yes. And you just said you think you have a good indication. You're referring to the statements Mr. Myers gave you 3 or 4 times, aren't you? No, sir. Okay, then what else do you have in the way of scientific evidence that would indicate that the stains that you saw on the rocks and in the sand are blood from the 2 bodies? Well, I don't. Scientifically, you'll never have that at any crime scene that you go to when you first get there. But in your training and experience in homicide, Detective Gonzalez, you are aware that there are certain tests that can be conducted which in fact can confirm fluid or stain if it is blood, and if in fact that blood is blood from a particular individual or something of that nature. You're aware of that, aren't you? Yes, of course I am. Do you have any such indication in this case? Not that I'm aware of, no. Okay, the spent shell, fired shell casing that you found in the vicinity of the Nissan. Did you direct that shell casing to be dusted for fingerprints? No. Was it ever done? You're not going to find any prints on the casing. I appreciate your comments, but my question was, I'm sorry, was that ever done? No. And you're saying you are not ever going to find fingerprints on a shell casing? Not on that casing. That's your opinion. Yes. Did you direct that a person who is an expert in fingerprints take a look at that shell casing to make certain or determination that it was, no, that casing had nothing to do with that crime scene? That's your opinion? Yes. Just as this area that you've drawn for us in black, in your opinion, the crime scene, is that correct? Yes. And earlier, Mr. Beasley came in here and testified about evidence and preservation of the crime scene, and he offered the opinion that in his opinion, the 2 bodies that were located, as you have described in the various photographs and as depicted in Exhibit 3, he testified that in his opinion, those 2 individuals were shot in the vicinity of where the stains were found in the sand and on the rocks, and where the drag marks, as he described them, began and ended as he described near the body. Is that your opinion as well? No. So it's your opinion that those individuals, however they were killed somewhere else. I'm going to interpret your vicinity as the vicinity within the area that I described as the crime scene. I don't share that. There's very good possible reason they were shot somewhere else and other reasons. All right, let's do one page read back. So that whole thing was at 225. All right. Let me give you I won't give you a word list. That way you're just getting it fresh, spot on. So I'm going to read this once at 225, 200, 180, okay? And again, this is defense. Okay, here we go. When was the first time that you can recollect ever becoming aware that you couldn't board horses? It's been that way ever since I've lived there. People owned half acres. They all know that too. I am trying to find out how you found out about it. Well, you cannot board a horse unless you have a certain size area. It's been that way for years. Why do you think they have stables in Griffith Park? It's commercial. I am not disputing that. I am just trying to find out how you become aware of it. Well, you can check at the city hall or anything. That's the way I had to do on my variance and everything. I run here and run there and check. Do you have enough room on the Walnut Drive property to board any horses of your own or anybody else's? Just my own. That's a smaller property? Yes. Prior to this, what general area were you living in? Redmond. Redmond has the same restrictions. It's all over the state of Georgia. It's been that way for years. When you moved in, did you have discussions with anybody about whether or not it was different there than it was in Redmond? No, it's not any different. I knew that. Again, we get to the same problem about how you knew it. I checked at the city hall. Please speak up. I said I checked at the city hall. All right, so we'll do it again at 200. I did read this in mid speeds in December, so you might have heard it mid. Okay, all right, let's do this at 200. When was the first time that you can recollect ever becoming aware that you couldn't board horses? It's been that way ever since I've lived there. People owned half acres. They all know that too. I am trying to find out how you found out about it. Well, you cannot board a horse unless you have a certain size area. It's been that way for years. Why do you think they have stables in Griffith Park? It's commercial. I am not disputing that. I am just trying to find out how you become aware of it. Well, you can check at the city hall or anything. That's the way I had to do on my variance and everything. I run here and run there and check. Do you have enough room on the Walnut Drive property to board any horses of your own or anybody else's? Just my own. That's a smaller property? Yes. Prior to this, what general area were you living in? Redmond. Redmond has the same restrictions. It's all over the state of Georgia. It's been that way for years. When you moved in, did you have discussions with anybody about whether or not it was different there than it was in Redmond? No, it's not any different. I knew that. Again, we get to the same problem about how you knew it. I checked at the city hall. Please speak up. I said I checked at the city hall. Okay, last time at 180. Here we go. When was the first time that you can recollect ever becoming aware that you couldn't board horses? It's been that way ever since I've lived there. People owned half acres. They all know that too. I am trying to find out how you found out about it. Well, you cannot board a horse unless you have a certain size area. It's been that way for years. Why do you think they have stables in Griffith Park? It's commercial. I am not disputing that. I am just trying to find out how you became aware of it. Well, you can check at the city hall or anything. That's the way I had to do on my variance and everything. I run here and run there and check. Do you have enough room on the Walnut Drive property to board any horses of your own or anybody else's? Just my own. That's a smaller property? Yes. Prior to this, what general area were you living in? Redmond. Redmond has the same restrictions. It's all over the state of Georgia. It's been that way for years. When you moved in, did you have discussions with anybody about whether or not it was different there than it was in Redmond? No, it's not any different. I knew that. Again, we get to the same problem about how you knew it. I checked at the city hall. Please speak up. I said I checked at the city hall. Okay. All right. Did that seem a lot easier after reading that previous transcript?
I don't know why I struggled with that. I was doing better when we were just going for a while. And then we stopped, and I don't know.
That is interesting because this other transcript is pretty, it's more dense. So I would have thought that that would be a little bit more challenging.
I don't know what happened. I think I just lost it. I don't know.
But that's okay, and maybe we did a lot of sustained Q&A, so maybe you're just starting to get tired or something,
Maybe. Sometimes my audio skips a little too. So sometimes that'll throw me off.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like you just freeze for like a split second and I don't know.
And then when it picks back up, is it like Minnie Mouse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's funny because I do better in that moment when you're like Minnie Mouse. I don't know why. It's like, because then I'm like, okay, get on it, Yeah. But sometimes it does throw me off. So anyways, I think I'm gonna have to read my 180 take on this one, but that's okay.
No worries. No worries. Just let me know when you find it.
Okay, I've got it.
All right. Do you want to take the first one?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Or you can read the whole thing if you want. It's totally up to you.
I can try it.
All right. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Question: when was the first time that you can recollect ever becoming aware that you couldn't board horses? Answer: it's been that way ever since I've lived there. People owned half acres. They all know that too. Question: I am trying to find out how you found out about it. Answer, well, you did not board a horse unless you have a certain size area.
Do you have cannot instead of did not?
I have did not.
You did? Okay. Well, maybe I said it because there was another word that I circled because I had said something different. So
I mean, it's just one
yeah
key off. So I mean, I could have just accidentally hit it.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not about. Wait, is it been?
Ben. Yeah.
It's been. It's split. Okay, it's been that way for years. Why do you think they have stables in Griffith Park? It's commercial. Question, I am not disputing that. I am just trying to find out how you became aware of it. Answer, well, you can check. You can check at the city hall or anything.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I had.
Do you have that's the way?
No.
That's okay.
I have that's how I had to do.
That's okay.
It's, what is it?
That's the way I had to do.
I interpreted the way into how.
That's okay.
That's okay. That's the way I had to do. On my something and everything.
Okay. You have variance.
Oh, variance. Okay. No, but yes.
Okay. Kinda.
Kinda. My goodness.
Do you have run?
I run her here. Here. I run here and run there and check. Question, do you have enough room on the Walnut Drive property to board any horses of your own or anyone else's? Answer, just my own. Question, is that a smaller property? Answer, yes.
Do you have that's? That's a smaller property?
Oh.
That's?
I have STHAZ, so I wasn't sure if it was is that or that's. I didn't know which one.
That's okay. Good.
I'll have to work on that.
Yeah. That's why readback is so, important because you pick out things like, oh, wow,
Yeah.
I wrote A instead of an, or that's okay. That is that. Yep. That's very common.
Okay. Answer yes. Question, prior to that, what general area were you living in? Answer, Redmond. Redmond has the same restrictions. It's all over the state of Georgia. It's not about
you have it's been
so weird. My bin, it's like the N and the B are on separate lines, so it looks like not about.
Okay, that's good because now you're seeing that. You're like, oh, okay, it's splitting up.
Because that's twice in this short take that happened.
Yeah, that's awesome that you're seeing that. If anything, then when you're going to transcribe, you'll know not about is going to be been,
I might have to look at like my machine settings because there's no way I'm hitting it like that. That's that is weird.
That is odd.
Okay, it's been that way for years. Question, when you moved
Do you have in?
I do. And when you moved in, I was trying to figure out after in. When you moved in,
do you have dove?
You
have dove? Or did you have?
Oh, did you have discussions with any?
I'm like, she probably has it. She's probably looking at dove.
I'm looking at dove, but I accidentally hit the G too. So I have dusk. Okay. I'm like, what? Okay. Did you have discussions with anybody about whether or not it was different there than it was in Redmond? Answer, no, it's not any different. I knew that. Question, again, we get to the problem about how you knew it. Answer, I checked at the city hall. Question, please speak up. Answer, I said I checked at the city hall.
Perfect. Good job. That's okay. So now you know that you're going to look at Ben, since it looks like not, what does it look like?
It's not about. It looks like not about. It keeps splitting up like that.
Yeah.
Weird. I'll look at that.
That is weird, because you would think if anything it would show up as about not. You know what I mean? Because the B.
Yeah.
Weird. Yeah. Well, that's good. So you were able to see that.
There was something I was going to ask you. Oh, what was it? I should have written it down. It was like a general question. I can't think of it.
If you think of it, just you can just text me. You have my number,
okay.
Right? Yeah.
Yes, I do. Okay. It was something about something. I don't know.
That thing. Just text me if you think about it. You'll probably, as soon as we hang up, you'll probably think of it.
Yeah, I probably will. Shoot. Oh, well.
If you think of it, just text me.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Well, thank you. Thanks for being here live.
Yeah, it feels good. Feels good to write.
Good.
Love it. I need to do more sustained like dictation. So I'm feeling close though. I feel like really good.
Good.
So it's like little things I need to work on.
Yeah, you're going to be fine.
So
just make that date. Set that date.
I know, that's what I need to do. I know, but that's what my husband said. He's like, just rip off the Band-Aid, just do it. That'll really kick me in the height. I'm so glad because I don't have to work at all next week.
Good.
I told my aunt, because I did so much this week, and she asked me, she's really considerate because she knows what I'm doing, and I was like, give everything to the other scopist you're training because I need to focus on this next week.
Yeah,
and
good.
So
get ready.
I will just be on my machine a lot.
Yes.
So
good for you.
So I'm very blessed to have that opportunity next week.
Yeah, that's awesome. Take advantage of it. And then remember that show, Home Improvement? They'd say, move that bus. So we'll say, make that appointment. Set that date.
Yeah, set that date. I will. I need to.
Yeah.
I mean, I just need to.
Yeah, because you're ready.
I'm just, it helps me when I push at 240, 250, and then sit down and, attempt my 225. It's just about getting out of your head for me, like moving on. Do not even for you can't even for a millisecond think about a mistake that you made or you're behind, you know.
Do it.
So there's no time for that. So that's the thing I'm working on is totally like, oh, I remember what I was going to ask you. It was just like a general are you kidding me? It just left my head again. What is wrong with me?
You have a lot on your mind.
Okay, what was I just saying? Because it jogged my memory.
You said,
so like
you're writing that fast, you can't even hesitate or.
Right. It came to me and then it left like in a second. That's crazy. It has to do with hesitating. Whatever. I do have a lot on my mind, I think. I don't know. I'm just like,
well.
Anyway, I'll text you when I think of it again.
Yeah, text me if you think about it.
Okay.
Or when you do. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
You want me to read to you like 5 more minutes and I can read it like 2:40?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. We'll go back to that one, the child, the child abuse case or with the foster parents.
Okay.
Let's see. All right, so okay, yeah, I thought that the defense, and then I realized it was it's supposed to be the other. Okay. All right, I'm gonna make sure I have the right speaker. All right, here we go. And this is like, is that okay that it's colloquy or would you rather just have Q&A? Oh, it's not colloquy for very long. Okay, yeah, it's not colloquy for very long. All right, here we go. I have nothing further, Your Honor. Counsel, no questions. All right, nothing further, no questions. I may have just one or two. When you first heard from the foster parents that Lori said that her mother hit your brother, you said that there were 2 people who told you, and the second person was Mommy Tammy. Who was the first person? I missed that name. Mayla. Her name is Diane, but they call her Mayla. Diane, I didn't recognize Mayla. The kids call her Mayla. Okay, the time that you saw Mrs. Crail with the children at the mall for the visits, was that at a time when the family therapist, Mr. Moran, was there? I don't know him. Okay, during the last, how long have the children that have been having overnights with you, how long has that happened? A few months? Yes. During any of those overnights, has Ms. Crail ever come to your house to visit the children while they were there at your house? No. Have you told her that she cannot? She never does ask me. All right. She didn't even know that I had the kids. How do you know that? Because I know, because you're talking about Lisa, right? Yes. We didn't. I haven't talked to Lisa. I don't even know. This is as much as I've seen Lisa in court. Okay, describe your current relationship with her. It's fine now, but you don't talk to her? No. What I'm saying is I don't have no contact with her then when I was having the kids, but since I've been coming here to court and stuff like that, I don't have no problem with Lisa. Thank you. Okay, one of the decisions that I must make today is whether or not Lori and Evan can be placed with their mother. Okay, I haven't made that decision yet. In the course that the children are not placed with their mother and the children are placed with you, will you assist the children to visit with their mother? Yes, I will. Okay, would you allow her to visit at your home? Yes, I will. And you will follow all of the court's orders? Yes, I will. Okay, Mr. Kundy? Okay, go ahead. Well, I would just like to, go ahead, counsel. I would like to follow up on the court's questions, Your Honor. Okay, go ahead, you may. All right, you provided us with some Medi-Cal records pertaining to Evan and Lisa. Is that correct? Yes, I did. And it pertains to like immunization shots and follow-up records on Lori's asthma condition? Yes. Okay, who initiated these Medi-Cal appointments for the children? I did. And when did you initiate these Medi-Cal appointments for Evan and Lori? Well, from the time that I got the kids, I said, well, I better get started to get the kids their shots now because I'm going to have them and putting them in school, and I didn't know how long it was going to take. So I got on it right away. I think I had the kids about a month, and then I started getting on the shots and stuff like that. All right, in the event that the possibility that Lori and Evan are released to you, and if in their release, or in fact you had the same type of problems with their mother that you previously had, what would you do different, if anything? Well, I would take up more time with Lisa now, and things that I would be doing a lot different. I would have more patience with Lisa because I already know that she was young, but at the time I feel like I made a mistake. I'm not only faulting Lisa, I made a mistake of giving those kids up too soon, and that won't happen no more. And I get along with Lisa. I can get along with Lisa. That's not the problem. However, if in the event that you could not get along with Lisa, would you take or ask the social worker for assistance in making different arrangements for visitation? Yes, I would. Okay, I have no further questions, Your Honor. Okay, counsel, when would you ask the social worker to come and get the children after they had been living with you? Do you remember also telling the social worker that you had not followed up with several of Lori's asthma appointments? I don't remember telling her that because I kept every appointment that I had. I'm not talking about the immunization appointments now. No, you are talking about the asthma, right? Yes. I don't remember telling her that. I might have. I don't remember because I never missed an appointment. I never missed any of the appointments. And since you have been having the overnight visits, do you normally pick up the kids? Or do you have the foster parents pick them up or bring them to you, or what? No, the foster parents bring them to me every time, every time. Do you have any difficulty as far as transportation? No, I don't. So they've been pretty cooperative as far as bringing the kids to you? Yes, they have. And do you have understood that the children are to be in regular individual counseling, right? Yes. Would you have any problem in making sure that they do go to their counseling appointments, which may be every week? No, I don't have a problem. And do you say that your relationship with the mother is better now, but you really haven't had much contact with her since the children were moved from your home, right? No, you haven't. I haven't had contact until I started coming here to court. So you don't know whether her attitude has changed or not? It has changed a lot. She has changed a lot. How do you know that? From talking to her. How many times have you talked to her recently? Every time I come here, we go to lunch, we talk, and I see her every time I go to court. Okay, and I take her and drop her off. I don't know where she lived, but I have been dropping her off, wherever she wanted to go to be dropped off. That's where I drop her off. And how many times have you seen her recently, would you say? Just here? Yeah, how many times is that? I guess it's been about 4 times. And do you know how long a period of time you see her? Well, it's just been about all day here in court. And so in these 4 times, you've been able to come to the opinion that her attitude has changed. She's changed a lot, yeah. And during the time that you've been with her, have you discussed the possibilities of your testifying in court? No. You never discussed that with her at all? No. She hasn't even told you what she'd like for you to say on her behalf? Oh, no. Have you discussed her testimony with your son? No. Have you discussed your testimony with anyone? No. I have nothing further. Counsel? Yes, just a few more. In the event that the children are returned to their mother, are you available to provide daycare for the mother if she goes to work or school? Yes, And if anything came to your attention that you believe that the children were not being taken care of, were not being well cared for by the mother, would you be willing to report that to the social worker? Yes, I will. Okay, I have no further questions. Mr. Jandra, no questions, Your Honor. Okay, counsel, just one more. At the time that Lori and Evan were placed in your care, were you told by the social worker to take them into the doctor for medical immunizations and treatments? No, I've done that all on my own. No further questions. Counsel, would you have any reason to not believe the children if they again said to you that their mom had done something to them? Can you say that again, please? If the children, let's say the children were returned to their mother and they brought to your attention that she hit or did something wrong happen, do you think that you would be able to believe them? I would check into it, yes. I wouldn't just shine it on, but you didn't check into it with the previous statements were made, right? No, I didn't. Your Honor, that's been asked and answered, Your Honor. Okay, that is overruled. I have nothing further, Your Honor. Counsel, I have nothing further. Nothing. Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Smith, thank you very kindly for answering the questions. You are now excused as a witness. And that's the end of that transcript. I don't know if I muted you here.
I don't think you did.
Okay. You were so quiet. I didn't even know. Sometimes I forget to go back and mute, So how was that?
It was okay. I remembered my question halfway through it, so then I got distracted.
You're like, oh, I can't forget about the question.
It was more like just a general, like, kind of observation and then question, but I like noticed that the very first time I ever write a word, which I usually know somehow, like I've never written this word before, I have a hard time no matter what, even though, like, just a slight hesitation, even though I'm writing phonetically, obviously, somehow, like, my brain knows that I've never written that word before. And it'll just take a couple times of me writing it, and then I'm fine. And I don't know, it was just like an observation and kind of like wondering, is that normal, or like, why does that happen?
Yeah, and I think a lot of that has to do with us because we want to write real time. So if we get a new word thrown at us, it's like, oh, what about if that doesn't come? It's like we've got this phobia of what about if my dictionary doesn't recognize it, but you just have to know, like, okay, I'll go back and I'll enter that in my dictionary. But if you write it phonetically, you're going to be able to figure out what the word is, no matter what.
Right. It's like my thinks for like, it just, it's like a second, but I'll just think like, oh, I know that word's not in my dictionary, or I like that. I've never written that word before. It's like my fingers know, like,
yes,
they've never gone in that combination yet or something.
Yes.
It's weird.
Exactly. No, and that's, and I don't know if you remember in theory, but a lot of times students would say, oh my gosh, like you gave us this word, just, and we didn't learn that in the lesson. And I would say, yes, but you know how to write J, and we just went over the final FT or ST, words for FT. And so you have the concept, so you just put it together. But I know, because it's sometimes we get words thrown at us. I remember when I took a toxicologist depo, and I was so nervous because he was throwing words out that I had never heard of before, but I just wrote everything phonetically, and then I had to go back and research, and I found it all. But it just, so then it kind of told me, okay, no matter what word comes my way, I'm going to write it phonetically and I'm going to figure it out. It may not look pretty because it's not going to come up as a translated word until I get it in my dictionary.
Right.
I'm writing it phonetically and I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah.
So just
like
that, no matter what.
It's just because the time that I've been doing this hasn't been that long, so my dictionary is so limited, and even simple words that seem common, not most of the common words, but every once in a while, usually every class something comes up that's not in my dictionary.
Yeah.
Especially during like the drills and stuff like that. So it's just that split second where I'm like, I know that's a new word for me, know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was just an observation.
That is common. Because I still look at words to this day and I'll go, wow, there was a word earlier. And I was thinking, man, I wonder if there's an easier way to write that from the way I would write it. It seemed like it was in this read back that we did. Dang it. And you read it just fine, but I remember thinking there's got to be.
Today?
Yeah, it was today earlier.
I don't know.
Oh, I think it was commercial.
Oh, yeah, I write that in one stroke.
And I write it in two. I do KMER and I come back for SHL, but I know that there's a brief for it.
I just like put that all together.
Yeah, you just do KMESHL. Okay. Yeah, see?
Like and that works in my head.
Oh, that's good.
So
that's good. But there's always, that's totally normal when you hear of words or I don't know if you do this, like if you're sitting down watching TV or listening to the radio and you're constantly thinking, how would I write that word?
I I know it's getting actually a little better lately, but I write in my head constantly. Well, you having a conversation with someone and they don't know, but I'm writing everything they're saying in my head.
Yep.
And it's like a curse, but it's getting a little better. And I asked a reporter, I was at a convention one time and I was talking about that, and they're like, yeah, that goes away. Like you know, you might do it a little bit, but it's not like as bad. She said before you know it, like you're writing and thinking about your grocery list at the same time. Like you're just, it's like second nature. I'm like, oh man, I can't wait for that day. That day will be nice.
Yep. Yep. And I do the same thing. I'm constantly writing. My fingers are always moving, even like if I'm sitting there listening to, you know, if the president gives a speech, I'll sit there and I'll look down and my fingers are moving because I'm thinking about how, not even knowing that I'm doing it, you know?
Really?
Yes.
That's funny. Do you find that it makes it difficult to stay present in conversations sometimes? Yes. Like I'm hearing the words that are coming out of your mouth, but I'm not really comprehending everything. Like I have a really hard, like I have to watch myself because sometimes I zone out without even meaning to. And I'm just like hearing the sounds and writing it in my head and not really listening to what they're saying.
Yes.
Bad.
I know it is. Sometimes you just want to turn it off, you know?
My aunt said that she has a hard time listening to people. Because everyone, the first thing they say is, oh, wow, you must be a really good listener. And she's like, actually, it's kind of the opposite because we learn to zone out while we're listening, kind of. We go into a different zone, you know?
Yeah.
So
that's right.
Anyways.
Yeah,
so
that's totally normal. Totally normal.
Yeah, but that was my question, was just about how like when a new word comes up, it's just like that slight hesitation, you know? And, you know, I can never believe it because I've been scoping for so long and it never ceases to amaze me. Like I learn a new word like all the time.
Yes.
So it happens like you'll never stop hearing new words, you know, like
so true.
I this expedite I've been working on is an expert witness, and like I'm like, I can't believe after all these years I've never heard this word before, but it happens every single time, you know. There's so much in the world, you know.
Which is so neat that what we do enables us to hear new information every day and get to learn a little bit about everything, you know.
I know that's so cool to me. That really appeals to my personality. So I love that.
Yep. I agree. It's very cool. So, all right, Catherine. Well, you have a nice
Thank you.
weekend. Thank you.
You too. Thanks for doing that extra
You're welcome.
The higher speed. That helps so much.
Anytime. Yeah. I have no problem doing that at the end of our high speeds. Just
That's awesome.
To practice at 240 and I'll do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go sit down and I'm already sitting down. I'm gonna take a short break and then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna actually sit down and do a test and see how I do at 225. So
all right.
Well, thank you. I'll see you next week.
Okay, sounds good. Yes, and have a good week next week on your machine and not having to work. That's awesome.
I will. Thank you.
All right. Have a nice weekend.
You too.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.